Showed you true colors, I don't like what I see. Story keeps changing, I know what that means. Know what that means, I know what that means. How'd you go from being that somebody I believed into being someone doubting me behind the scenes? Can't forgive or sorry that I ain't never received. I mean, least you could've done was gave me an apology. But you're so prideful, yeah, prideful. Taking what you needed, blame it on me, man, that's so prideful.
Welcome back in Afternoon Sports Drive, Triple Play Sports Radio Network. Patrick Wheeler, Zach Lancaster, Levi Peckinpah, Tom Dorado back in the studio. We are live at Stillwater Milling in Perry. They would like to say Happy Mother's Day, and starting tomorrow and going on until Saturday at 1 p.m., just in time for Mother's Day, Stillwater Milling in Perry is having a store-wide sales event that includes big savings on items for mom's garden, lawn, and flower beds, brand name women's western wear and cowgirl boots in styles, colors, and sizes just right for your mom or your wife, animal health items for her horse and dog, and the other animals she loves so much, available here at Stillwater Milling in Perry. So I want to take a look at Major League Baseball, because I think that it's been a great start to the season. You know, we're over a month in now. There's been a lot of big storylines coming out of the entire league. You've got a low going on in terms of batting average. A lot of guys aren't hitting, but still there's been a lot of excitement. And I think part of that is, look, we're still in the home run or die era. And
they're pitchers hitting grand slams last night.
Yeah, you got a pitcher hitting a grand slam. We've had plenty of what's been so great about getting back to normal is we've seen the kind of unwritten rules falling back into place at times. We've seen a few brawls here and there, or at least attempted to, which is always fun. But the one thing, I saw this pointed out today, and I think it's worth mentioning and looking ahead to, because while we're still green in the 2021 season, in the 2022 season, as I know had talked about back last year when all of this back and forth was going on between players and owners, when to get the season started. It wasn't a COVID thing. It was a money thing, as we all know. But the collective bargaining agreement expires for the 2022 season. And that's never something, especially Major League Baseball anymore, that you like to hear. And I thought to myself, I was like, man, I really don't want to go through all that again. Because if you're the owners and the players, you either sit down and hash it out, right? And you get out there on time, and it's no big deal. Or it's like last year, and we hear consistent reports coming out all the time that neither side will even talk to the other, and no one wants to budge. And here we go again, sitting through this, waiting for a start date for Major League Baseball to get going again. And we're so freshly removed from that in 2020, and it left such a nasty taste in a lot of fans' mouths, because you did go through that shortened season that was just kind of if I'm being completely honest. I wasn't all into it, not like I am this year, where I've been pretty entertained so far, and you get a full 162 games, you get all the good stuff that comes with Major League Baseball, so it is much better, at least to me. But with the CBA expiring, man, that's just something I thought, I was like, man, really? Because can't you see, I don't think there's any middle ground. It's either we get this done, or we're going to sit around and it's going to be hashed back and forth. We're gonna talk money. There'll be a report one day that you're this close to getting it done. Then the report the next day is they're actually farther apart than they were the day before. It's going to be a mess, man. I mean, it's crazy. Am I crazy to think that, because I mentioned the first option where they actually sit down like mature adults and figure this out? Is that a far-fetched dream right there?
Yeah, yes. I think it'll start out that way. I think you'll see, like, okay, let's try to get as much money as we can for everybody. Let's hash this all out. And then 2 hours into it, things are going to fall apart, and before we know it, we're going to hear threats of, well, I don't know if we're going to have a season on time. I think we might be looking at a May start date. I'm not sure. The players and owners. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to think that's going to be a huge crap show until they finally get it all figured out. And by the time, and when you get it figured out, it's not going to be any different than what the reports were saying. Okay, yeah, this is where we're looking at. It's not going to be like, well, the players were able to squeak out 50% more money or this or that. Like, it's probably going to be about what everyone thought it was going to be.
Tom, are we headed that way in 2022?
Anytime you're mentioning money, yes, I have to agree we are. And you've got two sides that are trying to, and you can fall on one side or the other if you want to, like any argument, but they're trying to make the most. The owners want to make the most and pay the least, probably, and that's broad brushing. and the players probably want more than really they should ask for, because the owners have to have it to give it to them, and now you got to come to a agreement. You got to start throwing other things in there to appease one side or the other. I don't think either side's going to care about public opinion, so they don't like it. Well, they came back from a strike year, the fans did, and they didn't like that. They came back from a year where they called them the scabs, but the players who didn't take strike and tried to come up with a team. I think fans would be they'd be upset. They wouldn't say, "Oh, here we go again." But baseball is notorious for this, and I don't think it's going to change. Even though we're coming, maybe we get a full year in, maybe we do everything we're supposed to do, maybe the fans start coming back, maybe all these good things happen this year. But when you're dealing with how much money am I going to make and how much money am I going to spend, usually you're on two separate pages, and I can see this being a battle royal again. But like they always do, they'll at 11 o'clock prior to midnight, they'll find a way to come to some agreement to play, and there'll be some bruised feelings, and everybody won't be happy with it. But that's kind of the way they play that game. They've done it for decades.
Well, we saw that last year, and there were obviously different circumstances, but coming to an agreement before midnight, the clock continued to move down the aisle a little bit. I mean, it just took way too long, and you're right, Tom. I mean, they don't care. They don't care about what the fans think or what they would like to see happen. It's all about the cash. I understand that, and I'm trying not to be fully into the enjoy it while it's still here type of mode, because that's not a fun place to be throughout this entire season, which is a long season, as we know. But it's sometimes hard, man. I'm telling you, because when 2022 comes around, it's going to be, I'm already at this point going to be sick of hearing about, well, they want this and we want this, and there's no agreement being reached. It's just nauseating.
Well, and especially if the pandemic, really starts to level out and you do start to see more and more stadiums fill up, because then it's like, okay, well, you need to pay us more because you're bringing in a hell of a lot more money than you were in 2020 and 2021. So why can you not come to this agreement?
Well, that's an age-old question, Zach, though. I mean, and even though it's hard for most of us to put ourselves on the sides of the owners, because a lot of these people are business people, maybe not necessarily baseball people, but baseball is kind of one of the things that they do to make money. They're bottom line people, and usually what one thinks they're worth and what one wants to pay, well, no matter what the business, are usually two separate things. It's just more public now when you're dealing with pro athletes in all sports. It's a public negotiation. And let's face it, both sides use the media, use the public sentiment to kind of draw a little bit of support, saying, "Oh, look at those players, and they're just selfish. They don't care." And then the players say, "Look, these guys make millions and billions of dollars, and they don't want to pay us." So you kind of draw on the public sentiment, but it'll come down to who signs what, and eventually the owners and the players will get to a point where, okay, if we don't play, how much money do I lose as an owner? How much money do I lose as a player? And that's why you usually have an 11th hour agreement, and they don't really care whether people at Triple Play Sports are happy with them or not.
No, they do not. That is a stone-cold fact. We're going to get into hour number 2 coming up at the end of the show. Tom, who do you have ready to go on Where Are They Now?
Well, I got Scott Harmon, who's the head football coach at Ponca City. But I think most people realize and remember, because we've gotten into it with Scott before, former Cowboy player for sure back in the Big 8 days, secondary guy. But we may touch upon that a little bit, but he coached Zayvon Collins in Hominy when he was at Hominy for all those years. And I know that Scott's probably feeling real good about what happened the last week when Collins was a first-round pick. What was he, number 15 or 16, something like that, to the Cardinals?
With Arizona, yep.
And here's a guy that, is a great story. He didn't certainly look like a big old linebacker, defensive end who can run like the wind when he was at Hominy, was quarterback. So we'll get Scott's recollections a little bit when we talk to him at 5.
And Tom, did you see those pictures that the Arizona Cardinals Twitter officially posted of flying him over in their private jet over his high school?
Pretty neat. Bidwell, that's a nice gesture right there. I think that's a classy thing, and certainly the Bidwells in years past have not been as receptive to PR stuff like that. And this is the newer generation of the Bidwells, I think. But that was a nice touch. And don't you know, Collins was just exuberant when they did that, because that's where it all began. Why not fly over where it all began?
Yeah, I agree. I think it probably was an indescribable feeling, no doubt, to take it all in for him, and good for him. I can't wait to see what he does with the Arizona Cardinals. When we come back on the afternoon sports drive in hour number 2, we will get into some buy or sell, and then another big story out of Major League Baseball coming up too. Triple Play Sports Radio. Back in afternoon sports drive, Triple Play Sports Radio Network, hour number 2. Patrick Wheeler, Zach Lancaster, Tom Dorado, and Levi Peckinpah. Tom, go ahead and thank me for the music that just played.
I guess I can't thank you, but Levi's actually the one who brought it up, I think, so I have to give him some credit.
What do you mean brought it up? What are you talking about?
I mean, he said he found it in the computer. So
yeah, but I'm the one that put it in the system.
Oh,
come on.
Now Levi,
hey,
don't be taking credit when it's not due. I mean, but yeah, what a great song, because it's just a magical time for me when I'm on with you two Yardbirds every Wednesday.
That's exactly right. That's exactly why I put it in there, because it correlates so well with you being on the show. I did. I went in. I found what you were talking about with the music. I was like, what?
Oh, you found it, huh? What a great deal that was. Good.
I did. It took a lot of digging, and luckily I'm so technologically advanced I was able to get it done. But I found it. Thank goodness. So yeah, you're welcome.
Oh yeah,
we're live over here at Stillwater Milling in Perry. Happy Mother's Day from Stillwater Milling in Perry. You can come over here and show your mom how much you love her by getting her a brand new steel product. The Steel Spring Sale goes on beginning tomorrow, and then it will take place big time on Friday through the 8th through this weekend. So make sure you come over, check out all of their offers that they have available right now. Store-wide savings May 6th, 7th until 1 p.m. on the 8th. Promo day is this Friday. Stillwater Milling Agri Center, 205 Gene Taylor here in Perry. To start off the second hour, we're going to get into some buy or sell.
Are you buying?
I'd buy that for $1.
Or are you selling?
You pick up the phone and you sell, sell, sell.
This is Buy or Sell on the Afternoon Sports Drive.
Make money, money, make money.
Buy or sell here on the Afternoon Sports Drive, Triple Play Sports Radio Network. Patrick Wheeler, Zach Lancaster, Levi Peckinpah, Tom Dorado. Levi, also feel free to hop in on these too. When we buy or sell here on this first one for you guys, I've got, with this Kansas series coming up here, I know we kind of mentioned it last hour that sweeps are never easy to come by, but buy or sell that Oklahoma State baseball sweeps one of their remaining series that they have left. Doesn't have to be Kansas, but one of them, so that would be Kansas, Baylor, or New Orleans.
I'll buy it. I think, you saw them bounce back from that OU game, and they're, we've talked about it multiple times the past couple weeks, other than the OU series, which I thought was the start of the easy part of this season for Oklahoma State. They're into the easier part. You don't have Texas anymore. You don't have TCU. You don't have Tech. Now, Baylor's a little salty, but, you had OU. You got Kansas. You got New Orleans. I would have to think that they could take at least New Orleans. So I think they'll be close to sweeping KU, but I think KU will find a way to take one game. But I'll take New Orleans. I think they sweep New Orleans.
And you're just counting the rest of the season, right? Not the rest.
Yeah, the rest of the regular
okay.
season. Yep.
I'd say that the odds are really good that they can do that. They could sweep New Orleans. Like I said, they didn't contract New Orleans to come in and win a game. All right, so they came in here, and that'll be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, incidentally, as they get ready for the tournament to take on New Orleans. But I say they sweep them, so I guess I'm buying. I guess.
Oh yeah, I'll flip my attitude from yesterday, and I'll probably buy that too. Scatter around still to me feels like potential 3 losses throughout these next 10 games. Hopefully it's less than that. because maybe if you sweep New Orleans, then maybe you can just go 2, and hopefully Oklahoma isn't one of those when you do play them again. So I'll buy, and I would probably lean towards New Orleans. I wouldn't be overly shocked to see him get it done against Kansas, but as Tom said, Kansas has usually found a way, except for one time this season, to at least get one victory out of a series. So I'll buy that as well eventually here. And then you just saw, by the way, Zach, on baseball, he just brought up that news with Christian Encarnacion Strand.
I did, yeah. He was named the National Player of the Month. That's by the National Collegiate Baseball Writers of Association. He hit 458 in 15 games, 7 homers, 7 doubles, 2 triples, with 30 RBIs. And he also, by the way, picked up 2 Big 12 Conference Player of the Weeks, April 5th and the 26th.
If that wouldn't get you National Player of the Month, I'm not sure what would. So.
Led the Big 12 in batting average, RBIs, and slugging percentage in April. Ranked 2nd in homers and triples, and was 3rd in total bases with 59.
Nice, congratulations!
Wild.
Man. That's a really cool honor.
He did that in just the 2 games against Pine Bluff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He dominated, man. Hit for the cycle against Pine Bluff. Yeah,
right. That's all they counted.
Just that.
I was going to say,
series.
you didn't count any of the other games. And frankly, when you're looking at that scouting report, you got to find a way to keep him somewhat under wraps. Oklahoma, amazingly, he was 2 of 13 in the series.
Yeah.
Now, that's not shutting him out for 13. That's saying he didn't draw some walks, but in order to have a chance to keep this lineup at least in check somehow, you just can't let him go off, and he can go off at any time.
If I were an opposing coach, there's no way I would want any of my pitchers to throw anywhere near the strike zone. If CES, just walk them, just put them on. Don't even care. We'll take our chances with whoever else is coming up. So I'm sticking with baseball. I'm sticking with OSU. I kind of went through KU's schedule here, and while they have scored 3 runs, at least 3 runs every so often, those games are few and far between, and when they do, it's against not great baseball teams like North Dakota State, Sacramento State. So buy or sell, Oklahoma State is able to hold KU to 3 runs or less in the first game.
Well, I hope so, because that's not what they do. In Big 12 play, they average less than 3 runs a game. So you would hope, and I assume Osman's going to get the call to go Friday night, that he'll be able to overpower this lineup, which has been overpowered a lot this year. So I would say, I would say that there's a good chance. Now, again, baseball being what it is, that's hard to predict all the time. You can stumble into 3 runs and do nothing, right? You can get a couple errors here or there and walk a few, and all of a sudden one swing you got 3. But they don't do it very often, so I'll say the trend continues on Friday night that they don't score 3.
Yeah, I'm going to buy that too. If Osman does, he's the one that gets the nod, then good luck to Kansas, basically, in this situation. Even some of the better swinging teams are going to have trouble against Bryce Osman most of the time. Now, this is a Kansas team that, the pop is few and far between with these guys, let's be honest. So if we're going to start off the series on a high note, it starts with him on the mound. I'm expecting I'm not like a crazy huge run total for Oklahoma State offensively, but they're going to get it done enough to where maybe you allow a run, maybe you shut out Kansas. I think that there's that ability, but they got to start off on a high note, man, to get this series going. You'd obviously love a sweep. How good would that feel coming off what happened with Oklahoma? So I'm definitely hoping for that.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. I think you look at what Kansas is able to do, and Tom, I get what you're saying. They've kind of been on again, off again with KU up in Lawrence. What'd you say? You haven't won a series since 2007 in Lawrence.
Yeah, right.
I think you look at what and Trey Cobb he put out a tweet the other day. It was like, I remember a team that was struggling and nearly got swept and beat OU in a Game 3 and went on to play in the College World Series. Now, is this team good enough to make the College World Series? It's yet to be seen. But I think that Oklahoma State is kind of, hopefully they figured it out, and it will really know this weekend. But I think it'll be easy for them to hold KU under 3 runs. I more of like a 6-1, 7-2 kind of a guy coming up in game 1. So,
and Game 1s have usually gone Oklahoma State's way during this stretch of 6 trips up there where you haven't won a series. It's coming back in the middle and in the Sunday game. It's been a problem for Oklahoma
Yeah.
State. The last time we were up there, we won 27-6. Hit 12 home runs, which is a school record. 12 home runs in one game, and then lost the next 2 games. So, and it will run one-run games at that. They find a way somehow to get it done. I mean, I don't think there's any magic to it. You just got to play harder than they are and not have a bad day in the field and just use the bats the way you have to. Move people, get base hits. I mean, they're not a team that you should go up and go, oh my God, we're going to have to do 12 things in order to win one game. I mean, the chances of you winning all 3 are probably better than they are in any time this year. But the same thing was said about Oklahoma. Oklahoma's better than Kansas, but not a whole hell of a lot better. And we didn't get it done there, and supposedly had momentum coming off the win over Texas, and that momentum didn't last, 1 inning against OU down here on a Friday night.
So I'm going back to you guys know I love win totals. I love them. Now, with the New York Giants this year, and a different look coming into this team in terms of the weapons they've added, who they got in the draft, the total number of wins set at 7. Over, under.
Well, we found out yesterday that Daniel Jones is mentally tougher than 90% of guys in the National Football League.
Yeah, that was news to me, but I was happy to hear it.
That was wild. Joe Judge. You hear that, Tom? Joe Judge came out and said that Daniel Jones was dealing with an injury that would have put 90% of the guys in the National Football League on the IR list.
And where was he for a couple of games? And if he was, where was that other 10%? I mean,
he's too busy being mentally tough.
Yeah.
Hey, coaches in all sports say things that I shake my head at. But okay, all right, Joe. But can they win 7?
Yeah, over under 7. Yep.
No, because injuries are what they are about. By the time they get the halfway mark, they got receivers who get hurt. They got secondary guys who are hurt. They're starting, practice squad guys. They have more hurts than anybody has. So can they win 7? No, probably not.
They got more hurts than Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and they didn't even have Jalen Hurts. I mean, so, I would say that past history would tell you no, they're not.
Yeah, that's where I'm setting. I mean, could they be better than they were last year? Maybe. But I would take the under, and because of that and because of the injury problems they've been susceptible to for a while, I think you are going to see a decent amount of Rodarius Williams. I don't know how successful he'll be, but I think you will get to see him quite a bit down the stretch. Maybe not overall in the season, but down the stretch you'll see.
Levi, over under 7.
Ooh, that's really hard because I think I could potentially see them winning 7 or 8 games, but then I remember Daniel Jones as the QB, and then it throws it all out of whack.
Hey, he's tougher than 90% of the league.
No, he's not. But that's nice to say to the media to make everyone feel better. Because talent overall, I mean, they've got really great talent. I'm not going to lie. The offensive line is still suspect, but they got a great wide receiver core. I really like what they've been doing on the defensive side, and I'm a big, big, big James Bradbury fan. But it's Daniel Jones at QB. If it was almost anybody else, I could give it, even Jalen Hurts, I'd give a little bit more faith. But with Daniel Jones back there, I just can't see it. I'm going to sell and make it 6.
I'm actually going to go over 7. Now, they won 6 last year and barely did anything, okay? I mean, they went 6-10, and that was with Daniel Jones out for some time. You didn't have Saquon Barkley pretty much the entire year.
Can I actually make it even at 7? Can I make it
Yeah.
even at 7? I'll go 7.
Sure. Yeah, you can push it. Okay, right at 7. I'm leaning towards the 8. I know that's a fantastic season for the New York Giants to get back to 8 wins. But you mentioned it, Levi. You look at the weapons they have. Saquon Barkley coming back healthy. Now, if he stays healthy, we know he's one of the better backs in the league, but that has been a question mark for the last couple of years here. Can he do that? I hope so. You add Kadarius Toney and you add Kenny Golladay. You get Toney in the draft, and you add Kenny Golladay, which was a huge pickup in free agency. He was one of the number 1 guys at that position available. That's already with Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, Darius Slayton. There's a number of guys that Daniel Jones can go to. So, yes, there's certainly question marks surrounding your quarterback, but you got to give the Giants credit for giving him options to throw the football to and handing it off to a guy like Saquon Barkley. They've set him up to give him opportunities to be really solid offensively, and this is one of those situations. There's multiple of them in the league coming into this year where it's like, all right, we got our quarterback set up. Sam Darnold is in another good situation like that, for instance. We got you set up. We have the weapons ready. Now what can you do? And if you can't succeed with a team this stacked, because I don't know how many people realize just how good Kenny Golladay really is. I mean, that's a fantastic addition. So if you're this stacked and you still can't do anything, you can't manage 7 to 8 wins with this offense alone, I know you got to get stops, and those will come at times. Then we're going to have some real problems, and I would have to think Daniel Jones is probably on his way out before too long. This is kind of his do-or-die season. I really do expect it to be that way.
Don't throw Ingram in there, please. I mean,
The hands are made of stone.
Hey,
I know. The only reason I do that, Tom, is because there are times where he is a real legitimate red zone threat. But, yes, he does deal with the drops more than many tight ends in the league.
Stonehenge
and
hands.
Shepard gets hurt every year. So
Yes, yeah, I agree. Yeah, Sterling is
So
he's
you can
not
throw
great
those
at
two guys
staying
in
healthy.
there, and you don't know what Barkley's going to be like coming back from
No.
his injury. So, on the surface, it looks like he got a lot of people set up around him. But in reality, when you get to week number 4, and you're still just throwing to Ingram as your primary target because you got nobody else, that ain't going to work. Daniel Jones or Johnny Unitas isn't going to go to the Hall of Fame with it throwing to Evan Ingram. There's
If
no way.
he's throwing to just Evan Ingram by that time, even with the depth they have, they should be able to absorb some injuries now. But if that's the case, they're in big trouble, no doubt.
I've just always wondered, because everybody's giving Sam Darnold a lot of flack, even though he's been with the New York Jets for I don't know how many years, and we know it's been a bad system, that this is his last opportunity. We need to start putting it out there that Daniel Jones has had some okay weapons. Yes, injuries have hurt a lot of them, but he's been with the Giants for such a good amount of time. He's had some occasional health there. We need to start putting it out there that this should probably be his last year if he's not able to succeed with the amount of talent, because we're saying he's pretty much about 5 to 6 wide receivers deep, and then he's got Evan Ingram. Don't forget also Kyle Rudolph. They added him.
Yeah.
So they've added this much. You need to put it out there that this, I don't really think it's Sam Darnold's last opportunity. It should be Daniel Jones's.
Yeah, no, they're not on the same level with that for per se, because yes, it is the first year for Sam Darnold at a new location with actual weapons, so he might get a free pass compared to Daniel Jones exactly. But I'm with you, Levi. It's like I said, this is Daniel Jones do or die time. Like, man, we loaded you up, man, and you've had weapons at times before, but this is next level. We got you Kenny Golladay. I think Darius Slayton is a stud as well too, if properly used. He goes undervalued. So this is if I'm a Giants fan, and I like Tom, for instance, I got to be feeling, man, if Daniel Jones doesn't get it done with these guys, then when will he ever?
Yeah. So I'm sticking with football as well. I'm going Oklahoma State rookie free agent signings, the undrafted free agents. We got Amen to the Chargers. You got Cam Murray to the Cardinals. You got Dylan Stoner to the Vegas Raiders, and then Calvin Bundage up in Pittsburgh. So buy or sell that all 4 make at least the practice squad.
Well, I don't know if all 4 would make it. I mean, there are tremendous odds against making it, period, than making a practice squad. Not knowing the rosters and the needs of those teams, it's hard for me to say. But I'd say the odds are probably not in the favor of all 4 hooking on to that team. Not to say they couldn't hook on to with another one if they didn't make the practice squad with the one that they signed a contract with. That's not to say they couldn't go next door and get on another practice squad. Mm-hmm. So if you're making me stay committed to the teams that they sign with, I'd say I would probably.
No, it can be any practice squad.
Then I'd buy that they'll end up on practice squads somewhere, either with the one they signed with or someplace else.
Yeah, if you asked me if it were the teams they were with right now, I'd probably
any practice squad.
I'd probably sell if that were the case. Just to say who I would buy, probably lean Dylan's way to give him a chance with the Raiders. probably Cam too with Arizona. I'd be iffy on Amon, and I'd be iffy on Calvin, if I were being completely honest. Although the Chargers are a team, like for instance with Amon, where they seem to produce solid linebackers as of late, so they could use a guy like him of maybe to give him some serious reps on the practice squad. But as far as all four of them eventually making one around the league, yeah. Cam services, I think, can certainly be used. Dylan's probably too if he does what we talked about, and there's no reason for me to believe that he wouldn't in terms of work ethic, in terms of being that middle of the field tough receiver that's going to do a lot of the dirty work and probably not get rewarded as much for it. So those two guys, yeah. Calvin, I'm not 100% sure. He might be the one where I would not be surprised if a year or two we were reading that he's just done with football, to be completely honest with you. Amon, kind of the same way. If he can grind it out, that's not an easy position as well to make a squad with. So I am bullish on those two a little bit, but a guy with Cam's ability on the defensive line, someone's going to find use for him, and Dylan, I'm feeling the same way.
Yeah, I would take at least two. I could see Cam and Dylan making – I could see them making the Arizona and the Raiders. I could see them sticking with the team that signed him. Amon has he's got the production and the physicality, I think, to make a practice squad. I don't know if it's with the Chargers. And honestly, we found out last night that if it doesn't work out in the NFL, he's got a spot, probably a starting spot with the Calgary Stampeders. He was like the 5th overall pick last night in the CFL draft.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's certainly, he's got a spot. So if it doesn't work out in the NFL, which he would, I think, which just kind of blows my mind, would obviously make more money on a practice squad than he would probably being a starter in the CFL. But I would take that he'll play football one way or the other, because it's either going to be practice squad or he'll head north back up to Canada and play with Calgary. Calvin, I'm not sure about Calvin. I'm not sold on Calvin. I need to, because he comes back from the back injury last season, but he didn't do much last year. It wasn't like 2019 Calvin. Was it 2019? 2018 Calvin. It wasn't 2018 Calvin where we're seeing him, absolutely dominate every single play. And 2019 is when the yips started, and he's collecting like 15, offsides and false starts and late hits, and, just got really undisciplined. And then he deals with a back injury in 2020, didn't do much. He's certainly physical enough. I think he probably has the toughness to play. I don't know. I'm not going to count him out. I'm not going to say he's absolutely not going to sign, but if there was a doubt, for me, it would be Calvin. Ultimately, I'll sell it, but I think at least three of them. I think Amon has a shot. I don't know about the NFL, but certainly in Canada, and Cam and Dylan sign.
You got to look at what Pittsburgh needs. The one thing that they're going to try to fill in is a big rushing linebacker. They're trying to fill in the spot of Bud Dupree. I'm not saying Calvin Bunnage will be able to do that, but he is a guy that if they need to, he can fill a hole, and I think that's why he was able to sign with Pittsburgh, is because he's in a little bit of that Bud Dupree type of mold. Bud Dupree is obviously a lot better, but he's got a couple of those qualities that that Pittsburgh might want. So that's why he's going to be on the squad. And I think out of all of them besides Cam Murray, I think Cam and Calvin might be having the two best chances. And I know we all know that John Gruden and how he likes wide receivers, Dylan fits right in that slot. Amon, to me, might be the one where he might be on the outside looking in, but I think all these guys can get on some practice squads. I think truly Dylan, Cam, and Calvin will all get signed, and I think Amon's the one that's iffy.
There's a good chance that the teams could use all four of them in some form or fashion. When we come back here on the Afternoon Sports Drive, we'll get into another big story out of Major League Baseball. Precursor. It involves Tom's wonderful New York Mets, which, by the way, Tom, did that game, first one of the doubleheader, get underway yet with St. Louis?
We're looking. I say we. Levi's looking.
I want to say 4:15 is when because they got rained out last night.
It doesn't help that they blacked out our area on MLB TV. They did that, and so now I'm scrambling over here.
Yeah, I forgot to even double check. I'm sure it probably has. So we'll get some score updates and stuff on that. But we'll come back and look at the Mets because they have one big glaring problem. We'll talk about that coming up next. Triple Play Sports Radio. Just one. Welcome back into the afternoon sports drive, Triple Play Sports Radio Network. Patrick Wheeler, Zach Lancaster, Tom Dorado, and Levi Peckinpah. See, not only, Tom, did I play your music, but I remembered you were a huge ELO fan. So
I thought King was back. I thought I didn't see him walk in, but he's a big ELO guy. He used to hound me all the time. I can handle it, but I was as surprised as you were. Well, no, you weren't surprised because you put it in there. So.
The payback is real.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
I gave my parents' computer when I was in middle school a virus downloading some ELO from LimeWire.
Yeah. Hey, it was worth it. It was worth it. I can't believe that you downloaded ELO, but it was worth it.
It's good.
Out of all the things, ELO.
Out of all the things, that's like the one song by them I really, really like. The rest, just kind of, But I figured I'd play that there.
Well, thank you. In memory of King. That's good.
Exactly, yeah. It was just a great opportunity to do so. We're live over here at Stillwater Milling, Agri Center in Perry. And for Mom this Sunday, give her something she'll really use, like Stihl's handheld battery-powered blower. It's perfect for Mom's porch, patio, and driveway. Lightweight, portable, and it's only $129.99 this Friday during Real Stihl promo day. By the way, Tom, you might know by now, but 1-0, St. Louis leading in Game 1 of the doubleheader thanks to Paul Goldschmidt hitting a bomb into Big Mac land. It bounced off of the Golden Arches there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you said that, I thought that New York had a pitcher named Macklin or something, and you were like, hit him off Big Macklin. And
No,
like, what are you talking
Big
about?
Mac Land, yeah, way up in Busch
McDonald's.
Stadium, yeah.
Okay.
If you get a home run hit in Big Mac Land, then everyone gets like free Big Macs the next day or something.
Nice.
And we got to hope that Goldschmidt was cleaner than Big Mac was when he hit it. That there was a legitimate strength for Goldschmidt.
Tom, how many times do I have to tell you that it wasn't illegal at the time? Okay, and you know this. All right, this was something that we've gone over lots of times. So no Big Mac slander on this show. Okay,
It's not our fault he was a cheater.
No,
Patrick.
I mean it's not our fault that the Cardinals claim him. I mean that's just the way it is.
it wasn't cheating
it's
at
an
the time.
organization
And this is
full
the
of
same
cheaters.
guy who doesn't like banging on a garbage can. I mean
It wasn't
That wasn't illegal.
Banging on a garbage can is illegal because it helped you steal signs.
It is now.
Using what Big Mac
But it
used at that
wasn't
time wasn't illegal.
it wasn't illegal when they were banging on a garbage can.
It's illegal now.
It was illegal.
just like steroids. It wasn't
Banging
illegal
on the
then,
trash
but it is
cans
now.
was illegal because of what it was in context with. It
These
meant
St.
that we're
Louis
going to steal
hypocrites.
signs. That's illegal.
there
You
was
can't do
not
that.
a rule in Major League Baseball that says you can't hit on a garbage can.
No, man.
Not a rule
Absolutely
anywhere.
ridiculous.
Not a rule. Now, it is now. I imagine. I imagine there's a garbage can rule in there right now. You can't do that. But
I'm glad you brought that up, Tom, because yesterday the Yankees played the Astros, and
they're fans.
did you see the video?
Yeah.
Let's just say,
Old boy got his he got an inflatable trash can.
yeah, let's just say, big old Jose Altuve coming up to the plate, and how about the Yankees fans saying "F Altuve" like in a chant? I mean, it was unbelievable. It was incredible. I was so happy that fans didn't forget, because I hope they never do. No,
Well-
and until the day Altuve retires and all those idiots that were around him retire.
Well,
Man, I
if
can't
there
wait.
was ever a fan base that's not going to forget about ancient history, it's the Yankees.
Oh, big time. Wow.
27 World Series.
It's not ancient history though. This is
Oh no, I meant like in
Yeah.
like 50 years,
Yeah.
they'll still be talking about 27 World Series and the Astros cheating them out of another one.
we
if
can
there was
never
a team
let,
that ever
that down.
deserved to be cheated against and lose something because of cheating, it would be the Yankees, and I'm glad they got
Fair.
that
one
more
thing me and
more
Tom
teams
actually
ought to
agree
cheat
on.
to beat the Yankees, in my mind. Just as long as the Yankees lose, I'm in good. I'm heaven. That's good.
Well, I mean, you've seen plenty of losing this year so far with the Mets, and that's where I wanted to go with this, okay? Because New York is obviously having their issues, but the biggest one is their $300 million man that they signed. Now, we talked about this when this happened on this show. Remember that day we said, he turned down a huge offer. Then later that night, he ended up signing, just happened to be $1 million more than the highest paid shortstop in Fernando Tatis Jr. Really a strange coincidence there. But Francisco Lindor, obviously having his struggles to say the least this year. I saw in his first plate appearance there in the doubleheader going on right now, he did a great job by popping up to first base. So he continued there. Looked like it's still going well for him. He comes in to this season with a career line hitting 285. Okay, which that's certainly respectable. How about coming into last night and after the game, hitting 163 on the season through a month with 1 home run. He's got 3 RBIs. That's not what $341 million I think was supposed to buy you. Now, look, I understand it's a very long season, and I think it's inevitable that he turns it around and starts to hit and starts to produce because we know the glove is good, but the bat certainly has not been. And slumps happen to the best players, but this is going to be even more magnified because of everything that went down in this offseason. As we know, turning down the big offer, the big initial offer, getting what he wanted, gets $1 million more than Tatis Jr., does all this stuff, and it's like, okay, you get all that, and it's not a big deal, Steve Cohen, because that's chump change with everything that he has. He paid him off, and that's fine, but you better perform. And I'm actually curious how much of this is just a thought, this is a question, but how much of this is him just settling in and being content right now with the cash flow that's coming his way and what he has managed to get done with all of this, because now all of a sudden it's like, so what, I strike out, so what, I go through a bit of a rough patch, like I still get paid, I'll still be hitting up in the lineup, no big deal. Does that have anything to play into it, or am I off base here?
I would hope that that's not the case. I know that would be a fan's look at it, perhaps. It's somebody who's pissed off at the way he's played and hadn't performed. But I got to hope that, being the competitor and the professional that he is, that would not enter into it. I think some of it is the first trip to the league and trying to figure out what they're doing to him from the mound. I don't think he's become just a bad teammate, at least from what I could tell, even with the slump. He's, clearly not contributing in the 2-hole for sure. But he's the kind of guy I would imagine before the year's over, he's probably going to hit. What'd you say his lifetime was?
285.
He's got a long way to go, but I bet he's close to that by the time the year comes to an end. He's just too good a player to not to have a whole year like that. But at the same time, it goes back to the expectation level. Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, and it's kind of like we talked about with Jenkins, there's an expectation when you go to a big city and you are celebrated no matter what. Now, Jenkins is not getting the money that Lindor is, but still, the expectation level from the people in the stands and around covering the teams expect that you're going to be worth whatever that is, quote unquote, worth the money you're getting paid. And so far, he hasn't produced to that tune. And I don't know, he better start getting it done, or you got to figure a way to maybe get him out of the lineup because he's a dead out at the number 2 hole.
Oh yeah, I mean it's become that way, and it just goes back to my my theory that the Mets can never really have anything nice, no matter what they do. It's kind of one of those situations. I like Francisco Lindor. I understood why he, maybe not this much, but I understood why he got a payday. It's just when that happens, you expect immediate return, and that's not happened right now in that spot. I'm with you though. I think at some point it will, and I hope it's not the theory I brought up by any means, because then you're getting complacent. You never want to see that. But luckily, Tom, maybe for Lindor, because he actually went out on a limb the other day and said, hey, by the way, they're booing me now, but I hope they cheer whenever I do turn it on. And I'm like, okay, we're going to play that card too. That's just how New York fans are. But I think luckily for him, you had the Knicks that happened to be playing really well. So maybe they were focused over there, and eventually they shift their focus maybe to the Yankees or something else like that and get off his back. But you're right, it is New York, right? They're going to be up on you every single thing you do.
As a bunch of superstars, he can add his name to that list. They've come to New York in all sports who've been booed. I mean, it's just that simple. They're not shy about voicing their opinion, and they're not shy about being passionate about what they think you should be doing. And obviously Lindor hadn't done it, but they booed Mantle. They booed, I don't know if they ever booed Mays. I don't remember that. But there have been some great players in New York that have been booed, and such is life. It's not like they all can't be goody-goody like St. Louis, where they don't boo anybody. But that's just we can't all be
goody.
Can't all be
is
like
that what you just called
we can't
it?
all
Goody
be so
goody?
silky smooth, nicey nice people like in St.
I
Louis.
think the word you're looking for is one that's foreign to New York Mets fans, and that's respectful.
Well, it depends on what your expectation level is. I would imagine Goldschmidt could strike out 25 times in a row and they never boo him, right? So,
They wouldn't. You know why? Because we love our players through the good times and the bad.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, I tell you, you're about as indoctrinated as any St. Louis person I've ever been around. You spread the gospel, don't you? Man,
I absolutely do. Far and wide to anyone that'll listen.
I'd like to
that's
be on
basically-
with that St. Louis guy you have from time to time.
Uh-huh.
I'd like tell me the next time you have him on. I'd like to be on with him.
I actually don't think I will because I want to have him on again after that. So
I might test him a little bit and see exactly what his feelings are.
Let me think about that one for a little bit. That's an interesting idea. So the Mets obviously dealing with Francisco Lindor's issues is one of their many problems, and I had to think too, Tom, that Jacob deGrom was originally I think going to start yesterday's game. Now they came out yesterday and said he was dealing with some arm tightness. I remember I think that's correct, the injury they were talking about.
That's correct. Yes.
Now I think from the update they said that he probably should be able to go in a few days and there's nothing serious, but be honest with me. At some point, when you hear the report that comes out that it's like Jacob deGrom can't go today, and they don't give listed reasons right away, how much you immediately think he's just done? Like he has just said, I can't go out there with a .51, whatever it is, ERA, and be 2-2 or whatever. Like I can't go out there and get 0 run support. Like I'm expecting at some point we just hear, Jacob deGrom's like, I just can't do it today. And they're like, well, what's the reason? Well, I mean, we'd like to tell you it's undisclosed at this moment, but to be honest with you, he just can't take it anymore.
You know, I don't. If it was somebody else, maybe, but he's too much of a competitor. But it does worry me when they just kind of tiptoe around a little bit and. Well, we'll put him back a few days, and maybe he'll miss a start. I mean, this guy, you have to hog tie him and not let him go pitch. I mean, when it's his turn, he'll be out there unless there's something physically wrong, and that does concern me because right now he's shouldering most of the load, even though Stroman's trying to get through this game here today. You got Carrasco who hadn't thrown a pitch yet. Got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You got Syndergaard who's coming off Tommy John who won't be back until June. So you got a bunch of people on this roster in starting positions that are not very dependable. So I got to think it's more than just a little irritation for him to not pitch and push it back a couple of days because he's not that kind of guy to get who would do that. No.
Yeah, it's I'm not necessarily saying he's like at a breaking point because you're right, he is that type of competitor, but some other guys I think by now would be. It's really unbelievable the performances he puts up with so little support. We come back here on the Afternoon Sports Drive. We'll tell you what we learned to round out this Wednesday show. That's coming up next. Into the Afternoon Sports Drive, Triple Play Sports Radio Network. Patrick Wheeler, Zach Lancaster, Tom Dorado, Levi Peckinpah live over here at Stillwater Milling in Perry. You can come over and check out the spring sale, the steel spring sale, tomorrow or Friday actually, but there are some savings that do begin tomorrow. Perfect opportunity to get some Mother's Day gifts over here, flower beds and gardens and all of that good stuff that your mother or wife enjoys. You can find exactly what she needs, including women's western wear over here at Stillwater Milling and Agri Center in Perry. To round out the show, we're going to tell you what we learned.
Is coming to an end. Time to find out if these two got any smarter. Let's find out what the guys learned today on the Afternoon Sports Drive.
Well, I learned something today.
So we actually kind of hit on this coincidentally earlier with the Carolina Panthers, but I learned that Matt Rule came straight out and basically said that, look, Sam Darnold's our guy. There had been a lot of talk that they were in the mix for a quarterback, and even with getting Sam Darnold. Some people, I was in the mix considering that they might actually do so in the draft. They passed up on those guys, and that kind of told you, okay, then unless they make some crazy move for Aaron Rodgers or something, they're probably going to stick with Sam Darnold. We know they grabbed J.C. Horn with their first pick. But this is a team right now that they like to put in the hands of Sam Darnold. Matt Rule's quote was, I love those guys. I think they're going to be great NFL players, talking about the QBs they passed up. He said, but I think for us, when we got Sam, knowing he's 23 years old, just turned 24, we feel like Sam plus another player would be better for the team overall. And they said they're trying to build a whole team. They believe in Sam. They believe he deserves the opportunity to go out and play with them. And I think that it's really important to obviously do what Levi was saying earlier and kind of maybe give it a year or so, but there still needs to be a little bit of the pressure put on, because it is important to remember that Sam Darnold is young. It seems like when you get over there in a system like the Jets, you get swallowed up and you kind of get forgotten about because of how bad they really have been. So he's young, and it is absolutely really easy to jump on him and say that he was completely terrible, but yes, it was quite the literal situation where he had nobody to help him, and I mean nobody. It was really, really bad. It wasn't going to improve by any means, so the best thing for him was to get out of there. Heck, the best thing for him might have been the way that he did play in New York, because it got him shipped out, and he doesn't have to deal with that. He goes into a Carolina situation where you get all these weapons, man. I mean, there's a lot of guys, including one that you've had connections with before with Robbie Anderson. You get DJ Moore, you add Terrace Marshall, you get so many guys that I just think are going to be studs in this new environment that they're building over there in Carolina. And then, of course, the biggest thing that we have to focus on too, this is an offense that will be run through a running back, which doesn't happen all that often. You get a lot of play action built off some of those. Derrick Henry is another good example in the league, but Christian McCaffrey, the offense is run through him, the passing game, the running game, and that's very helpful for a guy like Sam Darnold that can take some of the pressure off, some of the weight off here. So he's set up, no doubt, and I really hope he succeeds. After this season, I want to go from talking about how terrible he was in New York, because he was, to how much of an improvement it's been for him in Carolina, where he's utilizing his weapons. The Panthers are all of a sudden a relevant team. They're actually making noise in the league, and some of these guys are having career years. I'm excited for that opportunity for him. Chuba, as we talked about, could even be in the mix there too. So I think he's set up, and it's going to be a fun season for him to watch. Now, again, if he goes out there and just falls on his face, yeah, then we're probably going to be like, hell, that was year one. Hopefully it doesn't, does that mean that they're going to have to make a move at a quarterback, or will they give him another year? Remains to be seen. But I'm excited for the future in Carolina, and I hope he succeeds.
Yeah. I'm going to go back with baseball. I didn't learn it. I had it reaffirmed that Angel Hernandez is the worst umpire in the history of baseball. Like, I tweeted out this morning, I did a better job of umpiring a Little League tournament in Bristol when I was 19 than Angel Hernandez. I don't know if you guys saw the video last night, but you had Kansas City, you had the Indians, Salvatore Perez, Royals catcher, hits a liner out to right field. Everyone in the facility, except for Angel Hernandez, knew that the ball was dropped.
Yes.
That it was not an out. Well, Angel Hernandez signals out.
Mm-hmm.
You had Andrew Benintendi, who rounds second, gets caught in a rundown because the third base coach is like, he's calling it out, get back, and he gets thrown off, and then you go back and you get a replay. Did you read what Hernandez quotes were after the game?
I did not read his explanation, no.
He goes, our goal was to get the play right, and that's exactly what we did. We talk about this. Replay is an extension of what we do out there. This is one of the worst excuses I've ever heard. As you saw, I got basically blinded by the outfield scoreboard. The pixels on the lights were as clear as white can be. I was trying to make out what happened there. The harder I looked, the less I could see. So I was trying to read the players to see what they did with the ball, and I had to come out with a call. I basically guessed on the wrong call. So as soon as I turned around, home plate umpire Edwin Makoso started walking towards me. We got the crew together and fixed the problem. It's just one thing after another, and I feel bad for Major League because they can't get rid of him. Major League Baseball cannot get rid of him because he is protected by the umpires union, and it blows my mind that the union has not created some kind of loophole to get rid of him because he is an absolute embarrassment and a stain on the game of baseball.
I agree, he's the worst. He is the absolute worst. I can't stand when the Cardinals draw him. Any team I'm watching, it's like, wow, this is going to be rough. And it is every behind the plate, out there in the field. He consistently messes up, and this one to me, that's no excuse. I don't care. Get it right. You're a billion years veteran in the Major League Baseball.
You get paid six figures to stand around and call a baseball game. You're telling me that you got blinded. Please.
And every year, anonymously, but every year he gets elected, so to speak, by the players as the worst umpire in baseball.
Easily.
I mean, every year he's the guy. Now, it's an anonymous thing. You don't put your names next to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
I'm sure they do.
He comes back, and he's there every year, and it's like Zach said. I think he's under a different contract thing, so he's protected. I tell you what I learned on this day, and last night is what I learned, and this is of local interest. Ryder Jones, who used to play here when his dad Billy was on Frank Anderson's staff at Oklahoma State. Ryder got a cup of coffee after a couple of years with San Francisco. Actually played a number of games with the Giants. I kind of lost sight of where he was until I read the paper today, and unless there's another Ryder Jones, which I don't think there is, he's with the Diamondbacks playing with the Amarillo AA team that played over in Tulsa last night as minor league baseball got underway last night, and it's going to be a whole different schedule for those guys as well. So those people who remember the Jones family when they were here, Ryder came back, so to speak, to play in Tulsa. And just a little update on Trey Cobb didn't have a great debut, to say the least. He's pitching with Binghamton, the AA for the Mets, and he came on in relief and blew a save last night, gave up 3 hits and a run. Hopefully that's the bad part, and he'll get squared away. And I don't think Carson Teal pitched last night for Harrisburg. That's the AA for the Nationals. So we got some local flavor here going on here in the minor leagues as we go through.
Well, the cool thing about Trey, that was the first game he pitched in since, was it August of 2019?
Over 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, because you had the pandemic and you had Tommy John surgery before that.
That's correct.
And fun fact about the Drillers game last night, the Drillers had the highest attendance of any minor league team that played last night. They had a touch over 5,000 fans.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
How great is it the minor league baseball's back, man?
Right?
That's
so cool.
That's so cool to see that return. Tom, real quick, who do you have on where are they now coming up?
Scott Harmon coming up, the head football coach at Ponca City, but we're going to talk about his days at Hominy and Zaven Collins and how he's feeling after the draft last week. It saw Collins go in the first round.
There you go. This has been the Afternoon Sports Drive. Levi, thank him back in the studio. Appreciate him as always. And Tom, thanks as well. And then we've got Zach Lancaster over here. I'm Patrick Wheeler. Thanks to Stillwater Milling over here in Perry.